Welcome back to the channel. Today we are taking a look at a Game of Thrones Hand of the King. A game in which all the houses of Westeros come together in a feast. You're basically going to be going around the party and trying to gather favour with those houses. Now the board is going to set up and you're going to move Varys around, whispering in people's ears, trying to gather the support, taking members of the family to your own. Whoever gathers the most support at the end of the most families wins. Let's break it down a little more, how the rules work, how the setup works, and get to the table. Right, so to get started, let's take a look at some of the components that come in the box and how to get set up. So you're going to have a selection of house banners, which represent all the different houses that you can gain favour with. You're going to have a selection of companion cards, which you're going to shuffle up, but we will get to that shortly. And most importantly, you're going to have a deck of characters, each in the corner that have different houses. So we're going to set these up and show you how to get started. Now, make sure this deck has a good shuffle. Make sure the Varys card is also in there as well as all the houses. Then what you're going to do is you're going to build a 6x6 square. Now, this doesn't have to look perfect. Honestly, it's going to drive you crazy if you try to get it to look like it. I'm just going to show you how you do it. These need to be completely random, so obviously it needs to be a good mix. So make sure you give them a good shuffle and then sort of set them up like this. So this would be one row, then it would be a 6x6. So I'm going to readjust the camera and just get these set up so you don't have to sit and watch me do them. Now, once you are set up, it's going to look something like this. The important thing is to locate your Varys. That's the character we're going to be playing. That's who's going to be moving around the party and trying to gain us favour with the houses of Westeros. So, as well as that, you want to take the tokens, the banners, just make sure they're somewhere near the game board. You will be grabbing those as you go. So, for example, let's say turn 3 you have 3 Stark, and then next turn somebody has 4. They will steal the banner from you. It's whoever has the most banners at the end, so you want to try and gain favour with a few houses, not just the one. But like we mentioned before, there's a few ways to do that. You can grab characters from here, which we'll go through, but let's finish setting up. Let's give the companions a good shuffle. And then what you're going to do is you're going to deal 6 of these, which will be the only companions in play. Now, we've got our 6 on the side. I'm just going to show you one as an example so we know what they do. There are examples like Littlefinger, which can make you draw more, but for the majority of stuff, it's not going to be like that. So, for example, here we've got Sir Ilyn Payne, which says, kill Eddard Stark in King's Landing or any play area. So the area here is King's Landing. If, for example, I had Eddard already taken, I'd already collected him from here, he would count as being in my play area, but could also be killed by this card. So, very easy to set up. It can take a little while to lay all this out, as you maybe saw. But once it's ready to go, it's ready to go. So let's explain how you actually play. As already stated, the aim for this game is to gather the most houses at the end. So we play as Varys. For example, on this turn, I could call Stark. I could call any of the houses on the row or the column. So, for example, I could say Stark. Now, you don't just take Eddard, which is next in row. Basically, you call the house and then you go to the furthest character from that house, which in this case would be Catelyn Stark, and then you gather any Starks along the way. So that turn I would gather 2 Starks, which is a very good turn, and I would take the Stark banner. Like I have already mentioned, that can be stolen from me at any point if a character gains 3 Starks, or they manage to kill off my Eddard or Catelyn or steal one in some way using the companions. You can lose your banner. If you're tied, the banner goes back into the middle, and it's the player with the most characters for each house at the end. Now, you may notice some houses like Tully's only have 2 characters. So, for example, let's say in this scenario, one of the Tullys is taken. On my turn, I managed to gather the second Tully. Now, because he is the last of that house, he is the last Tully, there are no more, all of them are now gone. Whoever collects the last of a house will take a companion card. Now, you can read what they do, you can choose which one you want. So, for example, we take the last Tully, and then we get Littlefinger. Littlefinger says, draw 2 companion cards, play 1 and discard 1. So we would go to the deck and draw 2 cards, which is the only way to, or one of the few ways to do it, and then we would choose between Gendry and Loras Tyrell. We would choose one and then discard the other, depending what our strategy is. So, for example, if we need Tyrells, we're going to go Loras. If we need Baratheons, we would go Gendry. And that is how Hand of the King sort of works. It gives you some idea. Basically, you need to collect the houses, but whilst doing this, you need to think, for example, here, when I took my Starks, Varys has now set up 2 more Starks along the top row, which does mean somebody could match me. He could also grab a Baratheon or Lannister, so you need to think not only which characters you're taking, but where you're leaving Varys for your opponent. Now, this is a 2 to 4 player game, but there are a few variations. There is the co-op variation, where it's basically 2 versus 2, or there is the three-eyed crow or three-eyed raven variation, which brings into play these tokens. Now, each player is going to get one of these tokens. If they play one, they play it on a character, and you and that character have to leave the room, which means then you and a friend could potentially discuss a strategy. Once you return to the room, there is no more talking. You can't ask them to do things for you, but outside the room, you could say, if you help me do this, I'll help you do this. And it can be sort of an alliance. It is very thematic for Game of Thrones, but leaving the room, talking, it can be a little hassle for some groups. So it is a variant. It's completely your discretion if you want to do this. We don't normally, but it is something to add interest to replay, which I do think is always a good thing for board games to have. There should be variation. There should be variants, so it's a thumbs up from me. If you have any questions or is there anything you think I've missed, let me know in the comments below. Drop your tips and discussions on the game in the comments. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know if you've played it, if this has helped at all. But that is Hand of the King. You use Varys to move around the party, take the influence of houses, kill off your opponents, take other members from their houses. It's backstabbing, it's treachery, it's behind the back, it's Game of Thrones. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it to this point, hopefully it's helped you in some way. Hopefully you feel the need to maybe subscribe, maybe like. I will be doing more of these how to play review type videos on board games. I do I'm not sure if it's going to be fortnightly or monthly, look at games where I just take a look at new stuff coming out on Kickstarter, new stuff on the pre-orders, or just games people are enjoying. So you can get involved with that either on YouTube or over on my Twitter. But like I said, thank you if you've made it to this point, and I'll catch you in the next one.